All right, we will call to order the March 18th City Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jackie, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Evans,
Here?
Vice Mayor Parrish.
Here.
Mr. Velardo.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Ms. Cooper.
Here.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Here. All right, that takes us to proceedings. Do I have a motion to approve the special meeting proceedings from March 5th?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Parrish.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
And do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting proceedings from March 5th?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Parrish.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo.
Yes.
That takes us to financial statements. Do I have a motion to receive the February finance report?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Parrish.
Yes.
Mr. Velardo.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes. And that takes us to public comments. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment? All right, that takes us to standing committee reports, community development. Ms. Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Evans. Community Development Committee met on March 14th. I called the meeting to order at 4:45 p.m. Present were myself, Brad Price, Christopher Parrish. Staff was City Manager Michael Doss and Executive Assistant Jackie Bain. Visitors was Daryl Donovan. Appoint a committee chairperson. Mr. Parrish made a motion to appoint me and seconded by Mr. Price. We made a motion to approve the minutes from August 29th, 2023. All voted yes. Discussion, the 5 Points Landing outdoor furniture. Mr. Doss discussed how this is one of the last pieces of completing Phase 1 of the 5 Points Landing Park. Staff researched various outdoor furniture companies that would fulfill the request for quality outdoor furniture that not only looked great but was also durable. Mr. Doss reviewed with the committee the estimate that was provided for the individual pieces of furniture. The company also provides a warranty on all pieces of furniture as well. Minus a few benches, the furniture will be stored inside during the winter months, and replacing most of the furniture with some park benches. The estimated total is $39,692. Mr. Doss had discussed this with Finance Director Pat Worthland and will require an appropriation amendment that will come out of the park budget and have to be reappropriated. Mr. Doss stated that this is something that we are all striving for with this park. It is to make another crown jewel premier park of Milford as the gateway to downtown Milford and eventually uptown Milford. The committee discussed options regarding possibilities of securing the items in the park and benches that will be used at the park during the winter months. Without further discussion, the committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase outdoor furniture for 5 Points Landing from Clear Creek Amish Furniture in the amount of $39,692.
Second.
I have a couple questions before we vote, if I could. The budget, was that what the budgeted amount was when we, for the park benches or whatever?
There was no budgeted amount.
There wasn't a, okay, so I know we were gonna talk about that. And then as far as the price, is this one company or do we have multiple bids? Typically, there were 3 bids, or did we not get that for this, or?
It was one company. We looked, we get catalogs all the time
Okay.
for multiple park equipment, if you will. This was a little bit more expensive than that. The one thing with this, I think, as Ms. Cooper alluded to, is this has warranties on that. It is a
Okay.
little bit more durable. can stand up to scratches, scrapes, graffiti, things like that, as opposed to the other kind of, how can I say this, cheaper equipment, basically, a little bit better quality.
And then what would be, and again, I've never seen it, of not having benches that we can have out there year-round?
I didn't understand the question, sorry.
It says in here that some of these benches are not for year-round use.
They could be, but.
They could be. The picnic tables and some of the stuff, the Adirondack chairs, we would probably bring inside
Oh,
and
yeah,
just keep the
okay.
benches out so people had somewhere to sit in the winter months. Although most of our parks are just not really utilized. The splash fountain will be, obviously not in
Obviously.
service in the winter. The restrooms, the dog park, some of that stuff will close down, but still people want to enjoy the parks. We wanted to keep some benches out there.
But it says, and then is there an idea of how many more we're gonna have to buy to put out? Or am I mishearing that?
Yeah, that's it. This is for everything.
Okay.
It's a combination of like Adirondack chairs, gliders, tables.
Benches are
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay, Ms. Bain?
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
No.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Next discussion was Jim Terrell Park Canoe and Kayak Launch Construction Bids. City Manager Michael Doss reviewed with the committee competitive bid information from the three Park Canoe and Kayak Launch Construction Project specs that were out for bid. The goal is to have this site in operation by Memorial Day weekend. We did secure money from the state of Ohio and their current capital budget for. We also secured money from the Community Development Block Grant through the Claremont County Commission. Mr. Doss is still fighting to see if we can utilize that money, because we should have expended that, but the process that we could go through with permitting has made this somewhat of a daunting task. But we are still trying. Right now, we have $1,000. If we can get them to allow us to still utilize the appropriated community block grants, then it will be at no cost to the city. At this point, right now, if you accept the base bid and the alternatives, it will be approximately $50 more than we've received from the state of Ohio. The bid that was recommended by Engineer Kleiner's group was Loveland Excavating and Paving. Mr. Doss is asking that we include alternative 1, which is to resurface Longworth Street and the parking lot, and alternative 2, which is grass pavers that will connect Longworth Street and off of Longworth Street to the actual concrete boat launch itself. This will help maintain the green space area. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Loveland Excavating and Paving in the amount of $190,050.
Second.
And again, not to be the one to question, they did this up the road, and they put the canoe launch in, which ended up being 10 feet shorter. And I think, Mr. Doss, we talked about this the other day. That is going to be an appropriate launch. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but Kelly Nature Preserve, they put that launch in, and they, quite honestly, messed it up.
Yeah, it's too short.
Who is they?
The state of Ohio.
Whoever
it
was-
was all
okay.
part of this,
Okay.
that grant, Jen. And
Got it.
I just want to assure that, I think it's great, I think it's well needed, but just to make sure that we don't that, same issue that they had there, where you really can't even utilize that other launch
Yeah,
appropriately.
when the water's down,
Yeah, you know what I'm
it's short.
talking
When
about.
the water's
If
too
you've ever
low.
been down there. Yeah, they, for whose ever bright idea that was to, to leave a boat launch, it's literally 10 feet shorter than what it needs to be, so, anyway.
Good point. Okay.
Probably measured in the spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when the water's up, if the water's flooding and no one's
Yeah.
using it, it's perfect. Perfect, right? Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes,
Mr. Velardo?
Yes,
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Next, I had asked if there would be a flagpole at the Five Points Landing Park. Mr. Doss stated that it is the desire of the committee and council, if it is the desire of the committee and council, we can obtain information and quotes to establish a display from a flagged pole or the flag to project one of the structures at the park. Mr. Doss reviewed information from the Parks and Rec meeting regarding the application guidelines for farmers market. Daryl Donovan, Milford, Ohio. Mr. Donovan discussed his concern with the parking in the area of Longworth Alley boat launch. People think this is a public launch. He suggested widening the street and more control of the parking in the area. Mr. Doss is aware of the issues with parking in that area and will discuss them with the chief of police to have monitored. There being no further business, the meeting adjourns at 5:24 p.m. with a motion from Mr. Price, seconded by Mr. Parrish.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Well, I guess what are council's thoughts about the flagpole? Would we like Mr. Doss to get a
I
quote?
don't think you can have a park without a flagpole.
No, it's not gonna-
I mean,
Nice to
I
have
think
one.
Janet's spot on. I applaud her for, if anything, that might be an oversight that it's not already there.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. Okay.
Well,
I think it's worth pursuing.
right below the furniture asking of citizens is
Yeah.
the flagpole, as far
Yes.
as I get
Yeah.
questions about, so.
So will you pursue
Yes.
that, Mr. Doss?
Yeah, do you want just one flagpole, or do you want 3 flagpoles for obviously the US flag, Ohio flag, and do we want to put something for the Milford flag?
If it's not cost prohibitive, I think it would certainly be,
Be a quote for both?
Yeah, quote for both. and
Yeah.
then-
Just want to add, when the flyover that everybody's probably accustomed to, that was done from MSP of several years ago, had a flagpole in
I
that
thought it did.
flyover. However, it did not make it to the bid spec, so it wasn't even something we cut. It just wasn't in there,
Yeah.
so it'd just be an add-on, basically. But I'll get quotes for them.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to Mr. Dawson, City Manager Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to put this out here in my report. Rivers Edge Development, I know this generated a lot of discussion online on social media. Vision Development has approached the city about getting on the April Board of Zoning Appeals, might possibly be the May BZA, for a proposed apartment complex between Target and the Cinemark Cinemas at Rivers Edge. This is a proposed 300-plus unit high-end apartment complex, which would be an estimated value of about $50 million in investment, and would likely be completed in late 2026. I'd encourage anyone in the public, we do have documents there that have a traffic study and some outlined things regarding this development. They're on hand at City Hall. If anyone wants to stop by City Hall and take a look at it, I encourage the public to do so. Downtown redevelopment, the city continues to have meetings with potential developers regarding what we call the Fountain Specialist Block in downtown Milford. We have a developer currently that's looking into a possible mixed-use development with additional parking on Main Street and High Street to accommodate additional demand. Again, we have developers all the time that are coming in and asking about that, so I don't want to get anyone too excited or worked up, but just letting you know that preliminary, we have a developer that Christine Seltzer and I met with last week that's looking into that block. And it seems to be kind of a common theme with that block is some type of mixed use. We're nowhere near anything right now. It's kind of a feeler, if you will. So we may have more with that, we may not. 5 Points Landing Park Farmers Market, again, I know an item that's generated some discussion out in the city, rightfully so. The city will begin soliciting vendors for the market later this week. Applications will be made available online later this week. The market is expected the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, noon. Exploring an evening market, which would be on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday evenings of each month. At the public, any vendors, if you know anyone who's interested, we will have that application by the end of this week. Brian Pacheco is looking over it from a legal standpoint, all the liabilities and things like that with the application, but encourage anyone who's interested, any vendors or any growers to take a look at that and please apply. Finally, New Finley Ray Park Sports Complex. Representatives from the baseball, softball, and soccer associations continue to have meetings with the city and FC Cincinnati to explore possible expansion of the FC Cincinnati Youth Soccer Academy. Along with that expansion would be a proposed new complex for youth sports in our community. So it'd be a new complex for both baseball and softball and soccer as well. Really, what we feel would be a premier park. The city does not own Finley Ray Park. We just own a corner up in the upper northeast portion of the park. But something that we're working on, those discussions have went very well, and we'll see where that leads us. Standing committee meetings, there are none at this time. Reminders, tomorrow is Election Day. Just encourage everybody to get out and vote regardless of your party affiliation. March 23rd, which is this Saturday at Riverside Park, starting at 10 a.m. is our Easter extravaganza. Going to have roughly 8,000 to 10,000 eggs. Should be a fun time. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting is April the 2nd, of course, at 7. We have a tree commission meeting April 10th at 2 o'clock. And also April 10th, we'll have a planning commission meeting at 6.
All right, thank you, Mr. Doss. That takes us to Chief Mills and the police report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. You should have my February monthly report in front of you, but I'll touch on the highlights. Sergeant Belcher attended the annual Police Executive Leadership College Conference in Columbus, and all sworn members reviewed and signed off on our patrol operations directive. We had a busy month, some notable occurrences by squad. Squad 1 investigated 2 stolen Chevy Camaros from Mike Castrucci Chevrolet. The vehicles were subsequently located and recovered in a parking garage in Cincinnati. I just found out today that Detective Fannin has successfully obtained APHIS hits on 2 fingerprints he lifted. So we're
Nice.
getting somewhere with that case. Squad 1 also took a report from a victim who reported missing oxycodone pills. A fellow resident was identified and subsequently confessed to Detective Brown. Squad 1 assisted a resident who reportedly received an email from Norton Antivirus stating her computer was compromised. Unfortunately, the victim paid over $800 before realizing it was a scam. You may recall it's one of my goals for 2024 is to reduce these occurrences. So please call us if you have any questions on a pop-up or anything like that. Squad 1 also investigated a single vehicle crash that involved a driver crossing the center line on Main Street and striking a telephone pole near the 5 Points Landing Park. On Squad 2, they responded to 825 Main Street for a male acting erratic and operating a motor vehicle. Officers located a male having a drug-induced episode, which resulted in a response to resistance. The suspect was subsequently charged with OVI and resisting. They also responded to 603 Brooklyn for a breaking and entering in progress. Several agencies were called in to assist with perimeter and canine searching, which resulted in a female suspect being apprehended and charged with breaking and entering. Squad 2 responded to a road rage hit-skip incident where the suspect fled after striking 2 vehicles. Fortunately, we did later locate that suspect and charge them with some traffic offenses as well as leaving the scene of an auto accident. They responded to Walmart for trouble with a female refusing to leave and making threats towards staff. Officers attempted several unsuccessful de-escalation techniques before ultimately charging her with criminal trespass. Squad 2 also investigated an auto accident involving a vehicle striking a building, Main Street,
Harvest Market.
Harvest Market, thank you, and also struck a parked vehicle, propelling it into Memorial Park. So Squad 2 had a lot of activity. Squad 3 responded for a structure fire at 959 Mohawk where a resident fell asleep while cooking. They also investigated a vehicle rollover at the Oakwood Apartments where the driver fled prior to our arrival. However, we later identified and cited that driver. Squad 4 took a report of a smash and grab from a parked vehicle at Jim Terrell Park. They also mediated a large disturbance between families at the Oakwood Apartments, which resulted, or was set off rather, by juvenile behavior. Squad 4 located old spent casings in the area where a shots fired call had been called in earlier. No information was available at the time. However, an officer safety bulletin was issued and the information was shared with Miami Township Police, who were getting a lot of those calls. And lastly, Squad 4 responded for an aggravated burglary at the Chateau Apartments. Our totals for the month: 1,081 call records, 480 directed patrols, 142 offenses investigated, 20 auto accidents, 138 written warnings, and 144 traffic citations. Some administrative items: a California resident filed a complaint against the department in the Ohio Court of Claims regarding a large public records request that we processed. There were 2 low-level response to resistance incidents during the month. Both were investigated by command staff and found to be within policy. Probationary Officer Heather Mason has successfully completed her field training and is now assigned to independent patrol status, and Probationary Officer Alex Dresselhaus has moved into the shadow phase of his field training. Background investigations were conducted on 3 applicants, with 1 conditional offer being extended. Some community relations items. The fifth graders at Patterson Elementary provided Valentine's Day gifts to the department. I attended a ribbon cutting at Holston's Bakery, and Officer Eshman continued with several senior visits throughout the month.
Thank you. It was a really busy month.
Thank you.
Right, I think Chief Baird had to leave, so that takes us to council comments. Anybody on council?
I just wanted to extend a quick compliment to Ed and the folks at the service department. There were a couple potholes in my neighborhood, and by the time I got off the phone with Ed, they were already filling them. So somebody must have reported them before me, but it was super quick turnaround. So very well done on their behalf. So.
And I would like to compliment the fire department. There was apparently a necklace worn
Oh, yeah, a medical
on
alert.
Cleveland, and they couldn't locate the exact house, and they literally went door to door up and down the whole street looking for that person.
Nice. Just, BZA has a meeting on Monday, March 25th at 6 PM. And just with the Easter egg extravaganza, if there's any council members that are available to help, please let me know.
Mr. Valero?
And then, Mr. Doss, I think it's for the newer council members, there is an existing TIF, if I'm on the River's Edge project, is that correct? That you're
An established
proposed
TIF, correct.
Established TIF for that property? And I think that's a question I know I've gotten a lot of, what's the funding mechanism, whether you're gonna, what it's gonna do, and I just think it's important people understand that this has been a long, drawn-out process. I believe, almost 2 years ago it started? So, I know people are excited and getting out there, but it is a well-thought-out project that I know the city is in great position to be able to facilitate that. The other question, I got another email the other day about the noise ordinance. We were going to talk about the noise ordinance, so maybe that either go back through a committee. And a lot has to do with the outdoor music venue at the top of, would be the distillery, I believe is the one in question. And again, I don't know if that was a permitted use when it was built, or if that's something that maybe we need to address, because I think the brewery has done a great job of really listening to the residents and doing a lot of things they can to try to prevent that noise. Shutting the doors and where their performances are, but I think with that rooftop pavilion, obviously, I'm sure it's rather loud. So I just think that maybe that's something that,
I guess we could at least review the ordinance in committee.
Yeah.
We can add it to a committee agenda.
Yeah, to add that to a committee. And then, I know there was some talk at budget about water and sewer rates, about really addressing that. I was looking through the financials, and you can see that that is something that we've done our due diligence, I believe, as a city, controlling those rates, but that's certainly something that I believe should get on a committee sooner than later, so that we can address the rates, so that that fund doesn't drop any lower than what it already is.
All right, thank you, Mr. Velardo. Anybody else?
Just want to also add to Mr. Velardo's comment about the TIF, and just to let the public know, that TIF is for 10 years at 75%. So 25% of taxes assessed would be paid to the appropriate entities that receive levies. School, Milford Community Fire Department through our contract, and I think Claremont County has some senior services and other pieces that are assessed on that as well.
All right, so that takes us to new businesses. Mr. Doss gets to read the ordinances.
Yes, thank you. Put my Brian glasses on. So ordinance 24-273, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase outdoor furniture for use at 5 Points Landing from Clear Creek Amish Furniture at a cost not to exceed $39,692. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1, City Council hereby authorizes the city manager to take all action necessary to purchase outdoor furniture for use at 5 Points Landing from Clear Creek Amish Furniture at a cost not to exceed $39,692. The price estimate is attached and fully incorporated by reference under and in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. Section 2, Under and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
No.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ordinance 24-273, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase outdoor furniture for use at 5 Points Landing from Clear Creek Amish Furniture at a cost not to exceed $39,692.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
No.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 24-274, an ordinance awarding Jim Terrell Park canoe and kayak launch construction bid to Loveland Excavating and Paving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for such work at a cost not to exceed $190,050. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1, having solicited and received bids as required under the charter, and having received a recommendation from the city engineer, City Council hereby awards the bid for Jim Terrell Park Canoe and Kayak Project to Loveland Excavating and Paving as set forth in the attached document at a cost not to exceed $190,050. In council's judgment, Loveland Excavating and Paving's bid offers the best and most responsive price to the city considering quality, service, price, reputation, and past performances and financial condition. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Loveland Excavating and Paving to perform such work in accordance with the bid documents at a cost not to exceed $190,050. The bid documents are attached and fully incorporated in reference under and in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter, Section 2, under and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes. Ordinance 24-274, an ordinance awarding Jim Terrell Park Canoe Kayak Launch construction bid to Loveland Excavating and Paving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for such work at a cost not to exceed $190,050.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Doss. I don't believe we have any old business, so
One quick thing,
Sorry,
Mayor
yes.
Evans, I forgot to mention just the spring litter cleanup, say that 3 times fast. The registration is open. It's
Okay.
April 20th. You can find information on the city's webpage, but registration
the
is open.
same as Community Shred Day, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I get asked this time to time, and I should know this answer, but with the spring cleanup, we don't do the dumpsters anymore or anything like that down there, that people can bring,
Oh, like
For
junk
stuff.
days?
yeah,
How
like
we
kind of,
used
yeah,
to have-
junk.
like
days,
how we used to
yeah.
have junk
Yeah,
days.
we've done away with that
Correct.
completely, right? Okay. I get asked that from time, I'm like, no, I don't think,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
Okay. That's all.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Parrish?
Yes.
Mr. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes. All right, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.